with the ER pages, let's go over to Exploring Religions. I should probably go back and walk you right through all of this. There we go. Okay, the Exploring Religions web pages. Read them first. Read them before you open the book. It will be, it'll make the book easier to read. It'll move more swiftly. You will have the structural outline with which you can then fill in greater detail from the book. You've certainly got to deal with both texts, both the online Exploring Religions and your book, but start with Exploring Religions. All right, so here we are in Exploring Religions, and I go to Hinduism. Go now, look, the exclamation point lets you know how happy you'll be when you get there. So here we are at the Hinduism web pages. Over time, you guys will get to know Ganesh. Oops, I didn't really mean to do that. Isn't that fun? Let's see if I can go back. Ha, phew. All right. It's the fix-it god. Ganesh is the fix-it god. That's a great story. The child's head gets chopped off, and the goddess says, "Bring me my baby back." And the nearest guy to help was able to find a baby elephant head, puts it on the child, and that's Ganesh. So for the rest of his divine life, he's the fix-it god. Everybody needs a small Ganesh next to their computer because things go wrong with computers. So, dancing Shiva, and here's a guru. When you get here, then you navigate through these pages, right? Cosmos, organization, time and worship, texts and tales, timeline. Oops, brought me to a new one. Can I go back? Phew, I like that. Life stages is an important one for this. Every tradition that we study in this course will have those pages, except for, I think it is Islam does not have a religious life section in it. Anyway, it's missing one of them, but everybody else has got all of these sections completed. The problem in the Hinduism section is that as a matter of Maya, I think it's just cosmic law, the Hinduism web pages seem to change the most quickly, so that I have tried to offer you some extra links in our course shell so that you can go look at the remarkable art, Hindu art. But please don't get too frustrated if you click on something in the Exploring Religions pages and it brings you to a blank page. Just shift gears, Google it, see if you can find a replacement. I will try to find replacements. I do not have authority on the Exploring Religion pages to upgrade those links, so all I can do is add them into our course. All right, there's enough about Exploring Religions. Then I want to suggest to you, because there's this difference between the Exploring Religions way of looking at things and then our book's presentation of things, I think there's an important point here that might help you make the connection this week between Exploring Religions and our text. That is, on the very first page of the discussion of Hinduism, that's page 121, our authors note a paradox in Hinduism. So I'm going to read the paragraph. It's the top of page 121. Hinduism, first of all, does not include several components of the common conception of a religion, right? And that's why this text uses the polythetic definition of religion, because if we tried to pin it down to the essential things that have to be there, Hinduism might not even make it into your definition. So, but using their polythetic definition of the family of resemblances, there's going to be plenty in Hinduism that is clearly best studied as a world religion. There is no historical founder, no single scriptural text recognized by all, no single authoritative voice or organization or institution. There is no pope over there. No common creed for everyone who calls himself a Hindu. And no single god or goddess or conception of divinity. In fact, we're going to hit the thousands. You don't have to memorize them all. You just got to get the big three plus their consorts and a Ganesh or two. There is a social order, dharma, a responsibility to sustain the world. But there is also a role for those who renounce society's benefits and burdens, ones who seek release or moksha. Hinduism, a tradition that claims over 700 million adherents in India, seems full of paradoxes. That you would have dharma, your responsibility to be a virtuous person who upholds the world, but there is also, like the guru on that first picture of Hinduism, there is also a whole community of people within Hinduism who renounce the world's pleasures and seek release from the cycles of samsara, the rebirth, reincarnation, through their ability to come to the realization that Atman is Brahman. So the book is telling us that there is a fundamental paradox between dharma, your responsibility to participate and uphold the world, and moksha, the desire for release from the world. Two different ways of doing Hinduism. So does Paul Flesher tell you. There are basically two ways of being a Hindu. And he uses the kind of colloquial terms, life is good or life is bad. So these two presentations are going to be different, but they both recognize that there is this fundamental different path, two different paths within Hinduism. When Flesher describes life as good, he discusses dharma. Oh, let me see. I have just had enough time here to get, let's go over here. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. This is the part I want to talk to you about. So when Flesher describes the life is good part, that is the part where you follow your dharma, your responsibility to pursue virtue. You also promote artha, success, and kama, pleasure. Now, some of you probably got to class having heard of the Kama Sutra. That is the sutra, the teachings, all about pleasure. There's a reason that's a very popular text. You might have known nothing about Hinduism, but you might have known something about the Kama Sutra. Those Flesher is organizing under the life is good approach, and those are your going to be central to how you are a Hindu. What he calls life is bad, there are a lot of students over time who have thought it's somebody who's saying, oh, life is bad, I'm going to end it now, it is terrible. Try not to think that way. When he says the phrase life is bad, it's really more like, maybe some of you know somebody who has gone into being a nun, being a monk, somebody who studies yoga more than they drink alcohol. It's really about saying, I'm actually attracted to and driven by a desire to connect with the divine. And that practice is not through karma or my success or the fact that I'm such a good son to my mother or a good daughter to my mother or such a good wife who's had all these good children for my husband. But this is the person who says it will be an internal yogic responsibility to seek release from the cycles of rebirth, and recognize and realize my unity with Brahman. Where was I going with this? That here's the important point. The book and Exploring Religions share this presentation of these two paths within Hinduism. When you think about moksha, those who seek release, the gurus, where Flesher says, puts that under the rubric, life is bad, he's just trying to make it kind of easy to our ears to hear that. But it does not mean these are people who think, who are suicidal or something like that. It means somebody who's taking their spiritual path that seriously that they are not going to engage in the everyday mundane on their path. So I hope that's of some help, and look forward to seeing you in the class. Okay, bye.